Bonjour, and welcome to the Red Lake Nation College Gikendaasowin Podcast. Join us each week for discussion on topics including culture and language, career exploration, RLNC student spotlights, student projects, and other RLNC services. This week, Red Lake Nation College Student Success and Career Counselor Robin Roy interviews Red Lake Nation College Security and Maintenance Director Kevin Spears, conducted on May 12, 2022. Red Lake Nation College would like to thank the National Endowment for the Humanities for their generous support in the creation of this podcast. Miigwech.
Hey, good morning. My name is Robin Roy, Student Success Counselor here at Red Lake Nation College. Today I'll be interviewing Kevin Spears. He is the Facility and Maintenance Director here at Red Lake Nation College. Good morning, Kevin. If you want to just give a quick introduction.
Good morning, Rob. My name is Kevin Spears. I've been the Security and Facilities Director here at the Red Lake Nation College for a little over 6 years. And I really enjoy working here, and all the students are great. Faculty is awesome. Staff is wonderful.
Hey, thank you. All right, we just have a few questions. What is your educational background and employment history?
Oh, that's a tough one. Where do I start? I Red Lake High School. I attended Flandreau Indian School. I graduated out of there in South Dakota. And then after that, attended BSU for a little while. Kind of struggled there a bit, to which I found myself working at our Red Lake Chemical Health Program. And I was part of I started there in the summers in high school. And I wound up from there. I liked the job so much because it was an awesome work environment, and the guys that I worked with were great. From there, I sought full employment when I graduated high school with those guys, and then from there, I attended a career fair with a group of youth. I was basically chaperoning, and I came across a booth for the Red Lake Police Department. And I just started talking with one of the recruiters there, and he encouraged me to apply. I was, I'm going to age myself a little bit here, and this was pre-internet, so I was 20 years old at the time, and then the process to get hired back then took a while because they used the U.S. mail service to send out what would be an email right now, and it would take less than a day to get back. Well, back then it would take up to 6 weeks to get whatever correspondence going. And then, so a year and a half later, I started working there at the Red Lake Police Department as a police officer when I was 21. I worked with all of the old guys that worked there. It was myself and one other officer that were under 25. Everybody else was 30, 40 plus, and it was an interesting experience. And I worked there for quite a while, to which there was a lot of experience there. I would recommend it to anybody, really. That is, especially if you're like myself, grew up on the reservation, and I didn't see a lot of like other places. We moved around a lot when I was a kid, but you're a kid, but as an adult and you're coming into your own, there wasn't a lot of diversity. That job was my first introduction to a lot of diverse individuals and how to deal with people and that sort of thing. So for those reasons alone, I recommend, checking that job out if you get a chance or the opportunity. After I stopped working for those guys, I moved to St. Paul, and I just happened to be walking in the downtown St. Paul area, just checking it all out, going through the skyways, and then I came across a big building right in the downtown area, and it just so happened I kind of like saw the security guards working there, and I saw that they were wearing suits, And I thought that was pretty cool, So I talked to one of the guys, and they're like, yeah, we're hiring. And I was like, really? I told them my work history, and they on the spot interviewed me. And I didn't even fill out any paperwork. They just said, well, let's have an interview real quick. We're hard up for people. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. Sat down with a man by the name of Tim Rodenbeck, and he is a great individual. And he interviewed me, and he told me where to go fill out my paperwork. And the next day I was working at the building, which happened to be a pre-9/11 building. It was called the World Trade Center. And yes, there were 2 World Trade Centers in the country. One, of course, everybody knows, and that's in New York, or was in New York. The other one happened to be here in St. Paul. So from there, I was doing regular security work for that facility. And it was interesting because it was a 56 floors and the roof, and then there was a retail mall attached to it, and that was 4 levels, and they had a movie theater, all of this stuff. They had restaurants and shops, and it's a fairly large building. So I wound up working there, and then I would say 3 months after working there, they offered me a supervisor position. So then I started working second shift as their supervisor for that company. And that was my real introduction to diversity. Mm-hmm. It was a downtown metro area, and I'm telling you guys, I'm fresh from the reservation, just like most people, just fresh off the reservation, thrown into this thing, and I'm learning about a lot of stuff. Like, it was interesting. I always tell people when I worked there, it was interesting to watch the 5 o'clock change in individuals. We were, just to paint the picture, we were 2 blocks from a homeless shelter. So with that comes a lot of, social challenges for people. Yeah. And so, we dealt with a lot of things like that. And that was interesting to see that change. It was interesting to see in the office tower, in the 56 floors, there were 16 Fortune 500 companies up there. And the ATF office was up there, So we dealt with a fairly diverse crowd in that sense. But with the retail mall and the location of that shelter, we dealt with another crowd as well. So at 5 o'clock, we would just go out and watch. Every guard would do this. We would go out and watch that change. We would see the suit and ties. Yeah. And within a half an hour, we would have all the other individuals. We would get your drug dealers. We would get your gangbangers. We would get, everything else you can imagine. We dealt with it. And because we were connected to a skyway, we dealt with a lot of police officers as well. So, and having my background, that came in handy, dealing with that type of thing. But there is where I learned the true definition of diversity. Yes. And dealing with people. Police officer and doing law enforcement work, that prepares you for things so you're not too surprised and you can handle yourself a certain way and carry yourself. But there I learned truly how to deal with what you can imagine, man. And after that, I came back here for a visit to visit my family, and the lady I worked with at Chemical Health, she happened to be working at FCS, and I just kind of bumped into her, and we exchanged hellos, and she asked me if I was interested in work, and I said, well, I'm currently working in St. Paul, and she's like, well, if you're ever interested, Kev, we're offering a crime victim job, and we need to spend out some money. And tribal programs being tribal programs, they had this X amount of dollars they needed to spend. So it was too good of an opportunity to pass up. They had a lot of money they threw at me. So I made the leap back home, and I worked that job, and that led to other opportunities as well, which I worked child protection. I worked. I was the interim director for that program. You can name it over there. I did it. On-call specialist, case manager, all of these things. But that job, it was a job. My initial one was working for the crime victim services there, and that's how they got me. And that was, I got to say it, that is one of the most rewarding jobs I've ever had. I was tasked with dealing with people that were victims of crime here on the reservation, and that was all on all levels, federal, local, and that was anywhere from replacing a door to somebody that had a break-in, all the way up to counseling and helping individuals that were victims of a murder or the families therein affected by that. So it was very diverse, very rewarding job to have, and that program still runs today. Wow, that is a mouthful to say. Their title, they're new. I still cannot pronounce it. It's a long.
I was just reading that this morning too.
Yeah, that is a mouthful to say, man.
Yeah.
So good luck to them with that. But that job still exists, and it's grown a little bit. Human services has been a big part of my career path, dealing with anywhere from counseling with substance abuse to, encouragement to the youth to, again, law enforcement and all the trainings therein, dealing with individuals, de-escalation of whatever, or dealing with anything on that level. And then also, moving back here and assisting those people, so any job I've ever had here on the reservation has always been helping our people, in that sense. And that led me to here, and that is a story unto itself. So yeah, that is some of my career
just
paths.
some of that.
Yeah, just some of it. That is a tale to tell, man.
Yeah, and that's good. Helping your community firsthand. That's pretty good there.
Mm-hmm.
What about the profession you're in right now? Some of the main responsibilities. Was it planned?
No, actually, again, back to when I graduated high school, I struggled with my post-secondary education, and I knew that this facility here was being built and moved from their previous location, which was kind of tiny, kind of small, and they did amazing things there. But knowing that there was going to be something new built, I wanted to be part of it. So I applied, and this is an interesting story. I had one of my relatives is working here at the time, and I was coming out of English class, and she stopped me in the hallway, and she knew my work history as police officer.
Yeah.
And she asked me to help her out. She was just going to check on somebody that was having a bit of trouble.
Oh, okay.
So we went and checked on this individual, and the person was fine. There was no big issue there. But she knew that I need, if anything was wrong, that I would be able to help or give some sort of assistance there. It was nothing illegal, nothing bad. She was just concerned, and it turned out okay. But as I was leaving the building, and she stopped me with the person that is now my boss. And she was wondering, she was like, "Kevin, are you interested in a job?" And I was like, "Doing what?" And then she said, "We need security here in the building."
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, sure, what do I have to do? So she told me the steps therein. And at the time, this is where I always credit the college. And this is where I feel obligated to the college in the sense that they really helped me get off my feet. Because once I stopped working at FCS, I found myself not doing anything. And that led to, anybody's issues here, on the reservation. You start doing things out of character, you struggle, and I wasn't doing anything at the time. And then this opportunity just kind of found its way, and my boss was a big part of it. She encouraged me to do this, Kevin, we need your help. So when I started, I was more or less just curious. I can't say that I sought out this path, but I was just more or less curious about it. And she encouraged. She was a big part of why I'm still here, and why I'm still doing the job that I am. Because on any given day on this job, it's I use any one of the skills that I've acquired throughout my professional career. Any one of them. I never know. It's never the same day here for me. It never is.
What tool you're going to have to pull out.
Exactly, man. Exactly. But again, a student coming out of class, being asked if I'm interested in working for the college. Again, that really got me back on my feet, and helped me in my personal life. So I felt obligated. I'm part of something. When I graduated from the police academy, at the time, there was an individual, I think I'm allowed to talk about this now, but for the longest time we weren't allowed to speak of this. But there was an individual that asked if I wanted to be part of a warrior society for Native American police officers. Mm-hmm. And I did that. We went through ceremony the night before our graduation. There were 6 of us that agreed that they wanted to be part of this. So we all went in, did a sweat, went through a couple ceremonies. We got another name, and we were asked to make a personal commitment, one that's lifelong, one that, I suppose you could say, exceeds yourself. It is a core promise to yourself, I guess you could say it. And somewhere along the way down there, and the promise that you're supposed to make to yourself is that if you are capable and able, and you come across a situation, that you should help, because, and that's for your own spirituality. That's what I was told. That's what he explained to us. He said, you have to live a full circle life. If you can lay in bed that night and go to sleep, he said, and know that you did your best, that should be good enough for you. So you should be able to rest. So I lived my life that way for a while. And then doing that job is really difficult to keep that in perspective. And somewhere along the way, I just kind of forgot that. But this place and working here and doing all the things I've done and I do on a daily basis, it reminded me of all that. And I remembered that I did that. I made that commitment to myself, and it kind of rejuvenated that obligation to myself. So a lot of this place, it goes deeper for me than just, I work here, or I'm doing my best, or whatever it is. It's, for me, this place really helped me on a personal level.
Yes.
It was the education, for one, attending classes here, which is great. It is awesome. I can't say enough good things about it. And then on, like I said, on that personal level, it's a place to work. It's a place for employment. My work history, I've literally applied everywhere, tried to get a job after I worked at FCS. And I remembered once I went in for an interview, and the guy looked at my application and my resume, and he literally said, "Are you trying to take my job?" And I couldn't believe that. And I was like, "No, I just want to work." You know what I mean? And I was taken back by that. And when he said that, I thought back to all the other jobs that I've applied for and attempted to get here on the reservation, and that kind of tracked, like, I bet you I'm like a little much going in, So for those reasons, other people struggle, and finding employment here on the reservation is tough, man. So like I said, I wasn't doing anything for like 3.5 years before this place offered something, and I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't trying to choose this career path. It just turns out that through the course of my life and the course of my work history and the course of all these things this diversity I was given, that I apply all of it to this job.
Yeah.
It was like, our creator was like saying, hey, we're gonna give you some stuff to do, and you're not gonna see it coming, and you're gonna wind up working at this college, and you're gonna deal with medical emergencies and rowdy individuals. Not that it ever happens that often, but it's just you never know on a daily basis what I'm doing, and I love it. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's nice. What would you say you like most about your work?
I miss the students. It's post-COVID. I can't even say post yet, but we're still in it. But we're in the tail ends of something here, and that's what I miss. I didn't realize it, but I really miss the students. Seeing these people come into this building and know that they're seeking some sort of something.
Yep.
Because I can relate. You're looking for something better, something more, or whatever their case is. Everybody's different here. But that is, above all, that is my favorite part of my job, is dealing with students and seeing students and watching them succeed. And graduation is always awesome for me because I get to see these people that I've seen for the past few years come and go, and they did it. The sense of accomplishment that
from
day
beginning to end there.
Exactly. Yeah, that is wonderful.
Yeah. What would you say you like least about your work?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen from day to day. I can set a schedule for myself, and it generally works out pretty good. But there are also days where it's just like, oh well, we're going to throw you a curveball today, and and with that being said, it seems to be like, for me, I don't know if this is some sort of cosmic joke or what the deal is, but I always tell people I've never lived a quiet life. I can literally just sit back and do nothing, and then all of a sudden something finds me. Exactly. So this right here is an example of that. And with that being said, when those curveballs come, they come for Kev, man. They come for me, man. And I get a little tired. I get a little exhausted mentally, physically, and that is probably the only thing that is really troublesome for me with this job. Is that the curveballs, when they come, man, you better be ready to swing.
Are you routinely offered professional development opportunities?
Yes. I would say at least twice a week I get a lot of emails on conferences, and I attend a lot of the skills that are required to do what I do. There's a lot of advancement here. There's a lot of opportunity for education. It's a constant. I can't put my finger on one right now. There's a lot of requirements for what I do here, and like I said, the professional development part of things it's a lot. Mm-hmm. Like this morning, I can look in my email right now, and I can guarantee there's 4 opportunities in there right now. Do I have the time all the time?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, that's negotiable.
That's
there.
Another question.
Yeah.
Are there expectations that you had about your career path that differed from reality, either good or bad, both?
Generally, I try not to like put myself in a box when it comes to like things like this. When I'm dealing specifically with a diverse group of the public,
Yes.
That leads to frustration and idle thinking and that sort of thing that just doesn't coincide with your responsibilities in this regard. So I try not to paint myself into a corner and have any expectations, specifically when you're dealing with the public. And I think that goes back to the police training. They kind of teach you to, kind of put yourself in a place mentally where you don't expect too much.
Yeah.
You're just going to deal with what's in front of you.
Just roll with it.
Exactly.
All right. What advice would you give about time management?
Oh, that's tough. I'm old school. I predate the internet, guys.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say write it down. For me, it's writing it down.
Yeah.
I have notebooks. Since I started this job, I have like these binders that I keep with me at all times. I write everything down because it's a lot. I understand, and specifically when you work in higher ed, I've attended a few conferences where this is kind of the running joke in the conference that if you work in higher ed, be ready to do and wear at least 4 or 5 different hats for your institution. And time management gets tough when it gets like that.
Yes.
But it's doable. I would say set reminders. I utilize my app on my phone. I write everything down. I try not to skip a beat. It's a good skill to develop.
Yes. I'm more of a post-it kind of guy.
That's cool.
Write a post-it note, stick it on your computer screen.
There you go.
I will not forget if I do that. What advice would you give someone about dealing with hostile work environments?
Oh, that's a good question. Hostile work environments, dealing with other professionals in this regard, it's best, it depends. It truly does on the situation and the individual. But if I had to give anybody some sort of generalized overview or opinion on this topic, I would say, just try to do your best. We're all put here for a purpose. You woke up in the morning, you didn't know you were going to walk into a situation and encounter that sort of, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And just know that you're going to walk out of wherever it is you are, and you're still going to be that person that woke up that morning. And knowing that going in and having this in the back of your mind when you encounter something in a work environment like that, I just think it's best to just, do your part.
Yep.
Do your part. Don't be reactive.
Yes. I totally agree. Yeah. What related fields would you also recommend?
Oh, I would. There are days I have this love-hate relationship with law enforcement. Like, I love them. I will never do that job again. But that's a personal choice. There are guys and ladies that are career folks, and
yes,
a lot of them too. In our current police force right now, our department, I'm good friends with a lot of them. I don't know how it happens. Maybe we seek each other out. Maybe we give the nod at a gathering or something.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I have a lot of friends that are still working. A lot of them that were from when I was there, they have gone to do other things in other departments, but there are a few that still work there. And then in the process of meeting those guys, there's that brotherhood. We still acknowledge each other. But I would recommend that, or security work. it's rewarding.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very rewarding. Knowing that you're the person that's between the whatever people perceive as normal to the chaos out there.
Yes.
There's something rewarding about that. So,
what kind of advice would you give someone who is considering, say, the law enforcement career?
Expect diversity. Expect diversity and be prepared to learn. You can't know everything going in. You can do that job black and white, but and when I say that, I mean you can go by the letter of the law. You can literally run a shift and not really humanize it. That job happens to have that. I can't say going for it, but that job does and can be done in this regard. But that's not really diverse. You can do that and be a bit of a robot, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would say expect diversity. And there's times it's a lonely job. Because you have to do and say things that put you outside of your moral choices. There are things that you are required to do, and you have to do them, and you have to be the person to do this, unfortunately. And sometimes that puts you in a position where you have to do it. Like I'll tell you a personal story. I had to arrest an aunt once.
Oh, okay.
And so that put me in a situation where, I wasn't comfortable with any of the process.
Yes.
Any of it. Absolutely none of it. And, but it had to be done. It was required, there's rules, Unfortunately, she wasn't following them. We still talk. We're good. We're on good terms. It took her a while to get over it, but we're good.
That's good. Yeah. All right. Are there any questions that I didn't ask that you think would be a helpful piece of information for future reference?
Oh man. I'm failing coming up with that. I think you guys do a great job. It's been a good interview. Questions for you, questions for the podcast. I don't know. I don't really have any at this time.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. I'd like to thank Kevin for coming in and doing this interview with me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's it.
It's been fun.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Be sure to join us next week as we hear from RLNC English professor Taya Noel about her career and educational background and experience. A chimigwich to the following for their efforts in the creation of this Red Lake Nation College Gikendaasowin Podcast episode. Opening and closing music by Director of Equity, Cultural Education, and Archives, Floyd Buck Jourdain. Opening introduction and closing preview and production by Innovation Center Coordinator Brandon Spears. Our host this episode, Red Lake Nation College Student Success and Career Counselor Robin Roy. Our guest speaker this episode, Red Lake Nation College Security and Facilities Director Kevin Spears. And the National Endowment for the Humanities for their generous support. Miigwech and have a good day.